if I just sat here and didn't say anything? That'd be interesting. Just like for... Hello, people. Someone said poopy. Okay, nice. Thank you guys. Yeah, I came out here just because I had a little bit of time, and it was still bright enough for you to see me on here. But yeah, I was gonna yeah, I put up that thing last night. Everyone's putting up all the Spotify Wrapped. I don't remember. Maybe it's become more of like a, what do you call it? A campaign sort of thing this year. Because I don't recall seeing that. Do you guys recall seeing as many of those? That's kind of what made me even look into it within the Spotify artist app itself. Realizing that everyone else was putting those up and going, oh, I wonder what mine are. It was cool to see for sure. I was excited to put it up, but also wanted to clarify that, like a lot, it's funny because when I recently on vacation, and one of the Ubers that we had, he asked us what we did, and I mentioned my song America had just come out, so I mentioned, and he said, oh, are you on Spotify? Yeah, I'm on Spotify. So he checked it, but then the first song he started playing was Wait For Me, because obviously, I think that's what most people do, which is part of why I mentioned that. Hey Eva, I'm just doing a live video. I want to let you know before you come in, just because I put it on, but yeah.
You on now?
Yeah, you don't have to get in. If you want to, come in.
Well,
yeah, I just didn't want you to have to be forced to be in this. But your hair looks amazing. Yeah.
just got a Brazilian blowout. For those of you who don't know what that means,
Yeah. See,
I
what?
met a Brazilian and we had a blowout.
It was a great party. Yeah.
Big summer blowout.
Yeah. But I was just talking about that Spotify thing.
Oh yeah, nice.
But I was saying about
Your
that.
Spotify?
I was literally telling a story about when we were in that cab with the guy on vacation in Florida, and but I was saying that so when you tell someone that you have I always want to tell people, because it's awkward walking into your own home and being broadcast live to people, so that's what I wanted to tell you. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh, when you tell people that your music is available on Spotify, and they usually a lot of people go to the first song on there, and for me, all the top 5 songs of mine are not my original music. So, when you're doing musical theater, at least when I'm doing musical theater, I'm not really thinking about singing, if that makes any sense. I'm thinking about the acting. It's about however the character would sing it. So it's kind of funny for me having my top songs be sung in character, if that makes any sense, because it's so different from the stuff that I compose and produce and record on my own. So yeah, clarifications there, whatever. But I'm glad it's awesome to have that many people listening to things that I'm singing on, for sure. And so my goal is to get one of my songs in the top 5. That would be really cool. So that when people listen, they actually are hearing me as opposed to a character. But I think that would take a lot of streams to get there, because Hadestown has a lot of streams. I'm just gonna sit here like this now for the rest of the... No, I'm just kidding. Whoa, top 6 art. Thank you. That's cool. Yeah, my top 5 artists this year. Apparently, this is pretty cool. I was in the top 2% of Beatles listeners worldwide, which is kind of crazy because I don't actually listen to that. I don't know if I listen to as much music as the average person. I don't know. I think I listened to 2,720 minutes. Let's say around 2,700 minutes, which I think is around 45 hours. Is that a lot to listen to in a year? What do you guys think? Were yours anywhere close to that? Well, actually, in fairness, though, I have Apple Music as well, so I definitely listen to more than that because I listen a lot on Apple Music too. So I probably, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I listen. Yeah, I guess maybe I was listening to like almost 2 hours of music a day. Or wait, no, a week. Is that right? Yeah, that's not very much. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, Scary Pockets. That's a really fun one. That's a little bit more in my style of singing, I guess, in some ways. My personal style. Do I mix my own songs when recording? Yeah, everything. So every recording that I've released on my album Youth is Wasted and on this new song America, those are I recorded, produced, mixed, and mastered all of that stuff, and I played every instrument on it. So anything that's like has my name on it, that's just me, like, you know, doing all that stuff. Setlist for vocal warms, I don't really do that. I do more phonetic, you know, sort of vowel sound warm-ups, not so much songs usually. Oh yeah, next time in New York. I am performing in New York City next Sunday, December 15th, and I'm doing something I've never done before, which has been really fun. It's been a lot of work, kind of surprisingly a lot of work, because the structure of his music is different than what I'm used to in some ways, even though I grew up listening to him. So I'm doing a set of all of Sting's music, Sting and the Police. So it's a combination of Sting's original music and his work with the Police. And I've always been such a huge fan of his voice and his compositions. And there's some that I think I'll definitely be playing some songs that I think maybe some of you don't know of his, which are very, very cool. And I mean, to be honest, I think one of my favorite, I won't say what it is yet, but I think my favorite song he's ever written is one that you most likely have not heard. And so that's exciting. But I'll be doing that. If you guys want tickets for that, they're definitely available live for next Sunday, December 15th at the Room 42 here in New York. But you can also get live stream tickets through their website. But I think I have a link in my bio for the tickets too. I know I do, yeah. Oh, this is from Urban Outfitters, this jacket. Yeah, I've had friends ask me about this. I've tried to find another one for them, but I couldn't find it. I don't know how many they made. I saw one person wearing one in a restaurant once. That's the only other one of these I've seen. Well, my favorite song, it's very hard to pick a favorite Beatles song. I had a chance to sing Across the Universe at the Mazzoni Center honors George Takei on November 19th in Philadelphia. That was amazing. An amazing event. And I will say that's always been one of my favorite overall songs when you take lyrics into account. And I was really excited to learn that John Lennon is quoted as saying that he thinks that may be his best song. That was pretty exciting. I mean, he said that sometime in the 70s. So I don't know if that included certain songs that came after that, but in terms of his work with the Beatles, he thought that was one of his best. And I mean, there's so many incredible songs, but that's certainly up there for me. But then so many of Paul's songs and George and Ringo's one of my favorite drummers in the world. But yeah, I also love Paul McCartney's album Ram is one of my favorite albums of all time of any artist. If I don't answer your questions, if you don't mind asking again, because I'm missing some of them as they're scrolling up. Lyrics, what inspires me when it comes to lyrics? That is the hardest part of the process for me. It's like, for instance, I have a song I'm working on that I started composing in 2020. I think I have the date. It was like January 2nd, 2020. I came up with this thing that has now become sort of the chorus melody. I've been working on so many different versions of lyrics for it, different concepts, and I haven't really fully I've written a whole chorus with one concept, but I'm not certain I want that to be the concept. It's like a fun concept, but I'm not sure if it's. I feel really excited about this song, and I want it to be something that connects to a lot of people, and I'm not certain that the concept I'm going with right now is going to connect with a lot of people, so I'm kind of thinking, do I want to redo it entirely? But yeah, I'll spend years writing lyrics. I mean, my song Up Above the Weather took me 7 years to write. But, like, the lyrics, I had the structure done, like, within probably, I don't know, maybe a week. And then, for me, it tends to be my process. With my new song America, that actually only took me 4 days to write, which for me is extremely fast. Whereas the Beatles, a lot of their stuff was written in like 2-3 hours. I don't really know how they did that, to do it at that quality. Oh yeah, I played this violin on my song America. I don't really play violin, but it's a fairly inexpensive violin. That I bought just to use as a texture on the song. So I did play it. But I did my best to get the tone, the best that I could. It's not exactly the tone. But then again, I can't, I'm not certain how much. It would be nice to hear like a real violinist play that thing and hear what it actually sounds like, because, there are limitations of the equipment and the instrument and the bow themselves. But obviously the player is the most important part on many levels, and so I don't know if you can hear it in that track, but if you listen to the song America, there's I really wanted I wanted there to be a bunch of I wanted the sound of the production to reflect the fabric of the country culturally, and all, so I have there's a lot of people notice the reggae influence from the beginning, right off the bat, but there's also a lot of country and western influence. I've got and various different styles, a lot of gospel influence, and rock and roll for sure in the guitar solo and all that. But then also, so I wanted that, but the violins I wanted to represent some of like the Appalachian aspects of the country, which I have a lot of family from that region of the country. So yeah, I was hoping that everyone could hear something that is familiar to their, something that was familiar from their childhood, or their place of dwelling in the country. Oh, favorite Michael Jackson song? I don't know. There were a lot of great ones. He was on my list though, for sure. I think people know this, but I sang with him on his History album, on the song Childhood. That I got to sing on that. That is a great song. I think I really enjoy that song. But there's so many, and a lot of people don't even know that song. Oh. Songwriting process for me, I tend to start with the things that come to me first tend to be melodic patterns, melodies, and then I kind of explore things harmonically with chord. I just love interesting chord progressions, sort of unusual chord progressions, whenever I'm able to fit them in to something to make sense of it. Those tend to be the fastest part of the process for me, and the lyrics tend to be the longest. But I think if I have a strong concept, that helps expedite the lyric process, because it narrows things down to, it focuses things a bit more. So I think finding a concept is really important. Yeah. And I actually, for the first time ever, on this song America, I saw this video on YouTube and took John Lennon's advice. I had never heard him say this, but he apparently, someone asked him how to write a great song, and I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but he said, say what you mean, make it rhyme, and give it a backbeat. And that was pretty much my focus for America, and that really did help, because I think the most important part of it may be being say what you mean, because making it rhyme is a fairly technical, aspect of the process, and then backbeat is fairly straightforward. But that, just remembering that first part, that first step, as opposed to just writing for the sake of writing, I really don't enjoy doing that, and I don't really particularly. Yeah, I guess I would say writing for the sake of like commercial exploitation. I mean, the thing is, you really want, when you're writing a song, you want people to hear it, and if people hear it, generally there's some sort of financial compensation, although that's changed a lot over the years. With streaming and stuff like that, because you don't make the same money that you would have in like the 80s or 90s, but still, yeah, obviously, if that's your only job, then you have to find a way to make a living off of it. But to having that be the focus and churning things out as quickly as possible, for me, is just not a particularly enjoyable way to, or not even enjoyable, it's just not the way I like to do it. Unless I have something to say, I'm not really interested in spending the time, going through all of that exercise. It just doesn't feel, there are just other things I probably, in that sense, maybe rather be improving as a guitarist than just spending time writing just for the sake of writing, if that makes sense. So yeah, finding what you really want to say is kind of the most important part of the process, I think, when it comes to lyrics. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Oh man, I mean, he's the only person I think of as Wolverine. He's amazing, and he's a really nice person. I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but the times that I've met him and spoken with him, I haven't really met someone nicer in the industry. He's just such a nice guy. Oh, what instruments would you advise someone to learn who has problems with their joints? It depends to what degree. I think guitar is probably kind of a hard one in many ways with joint issues. Any sort of stringed instrument where you're pressing down. Piano might be a good one though, because it requires less pressure. In fact, like, you're sort of rewarded for less pressure. Guitars, it depends. Certain aspects to it, it requires more pressure. But if you get a guitar, especially an electric guitar with low enough action, that without the strings buzzing, because if it gets too low, the strings will buzz. But if you have a guitar with low enough action and you can actually play it, then that can be that could potentially help with the joints. I'm trying to think. It depends. Like elbows, if you have issues with that, drums wouldn't particularly be probably good for that. Piano might be. I would say that's probably one of the better ones. Or maybe something like a woodwind instrument. Maybe not flute, but clarinet, something that's like straight ahead and fairly light. I don't know if I have a favorite instrument I play. I mean, the guitar is the one I have the most training on, but I write a lot of music on piano. And I love playing the drums and bass. Hey, Luca. Favorite book? I really should read more. I don't spend a whole lot of time reading full-length novels, just because I take my time with things so much that it's like I end up. Sometimes if I sit down to read like a 200-page book, I might be on the same page for like 5 or 6 minutes, just kind of rereading stuff. But I like the dictionary. This is a good. These tools, so you'll see that the words are backwards because this thing's always in reverse, right? But these are really important tools for the songwriting process, the way I like to do it. And sometimes I have at times forgotten that, but when I remembered, it's like having these 3 things, very useful. that way you can stick to what you really want to say, and then look for something that, a synonym that does in fact rhyme with what you're trying to say. Do I have any auditions coming up for any show I want to be in? No, I'm not really that I'm aware of. No, yeah, usually with auditions, it's gotten a little bit better. Thankfully, SAG changed their rules, which has been extremely helpful for me. I don't know about other people, but for quite a long time, especially after the pandemic, the turnaround time on auditions was kind of, sometimes you'd have less than 24 hours to make a self-tape on something, which I find to be challenging for any sort of real serious kind of acting work, because I'm not someone who particularly likes playing myself in any project, and so you need time to create a character, and for me, I generally need more than 24 hours to create a character, let alone memorize all the things for the audition, all the lines. So it's been nice that the rules, I think they have rules now where you're required to have at least 48 hours to before a submission is due. But in my experience recently, I've had a few tapes that I've made, or been asked to make at least, that gave me like 4 or 5 days, which has been really helpful for me. I will say I don't particularly love making the tapes. I prefer to be in person with the casting director, because it's always nice. It's nice to be able to show them, oh wait, you can take direction, for instance, which is one of the most important parts of our job in that way. And on a self-tape, you don't even get the opportunity to take direction, because you just give them your first take and they either like it or they don't. Currently, for the next week, I'm working on this Sting set that I'm doing, the Sting and the Police set, which is at the Green Room 42 on December 15th. And I'm writing music, and yeah, that's, at the moment, that's, for the rest of the year, that's pretty much what I'm focused on. Would I do another Broadway cruise? Absolutely. That was so much fun. Yeah, I kind of want to do a blues cruise too. I've always, because I grew up playing in blues clubs, I've always heard about, I always known about the blues cruises. But at that point, I didn't have a profile, I should say, high enough for anyone to say, hey, we'd love for you to play on the blues cruise. Not that I'm not necessarily in that world right now, but it would be a cool thing. I would definitely love to play on one of those. And certainly to go as an audience member too. What instruments would I like to learn? Oh, well, I'd always called it a cymbalum, but I was recently told it's a cimbalum, and that's absolutely an instrument that I would like to learn. It's a Hungarian or Romanian. I'm not sure exactly the origin. I think Hungarian. Is or the original true origins possibly of this instrument, but it's essentially like a Hungarian hammered dulcimer. I've seen these incredible Romanian performers playing them in Dublin when I lived there doing Penny Dreadful, and I was just blown away. And in Rome I've seen them, but they're amazing instruments. They're like, essentially they're kind of somewhat like pianos on horizontally laid out, but not really. It sounds different, but it does have a similar sound to. Do I have a bow here? Yeah. It's a bass bow, but like this is too big to play in rhythm, but for me, but that it kind of has that awesome. But it's a similar sound to that, but designed for that, so it's really, really cool. And the size of the mallets allow you to play it properly in time, not like that. Yeah, so I definitely want one of those. I've not been able to find one. There's one place I found potentially one. I've called them a couple times and nobody's picked up. So not sure if you have to know them personally to get through. And they don't list the price on the website, so it's just I have no idea how much. But one of these days I got to do a live on. I bought an amazing instrument a few years ago, 2 years ago I think at this point, around this time of year. It's called a harp guitar. I think I put a picture on Instagram of it once a while ago. But it's made by the Larson brothers for a company called Dyer Musical Instruments in I think Chicago is where they're made in 1910. So it's my oldest, technically the oldest instrument that I own. It's kind of wild thinking 114-year-old instrument, but it plays as well as any acoustic guitar I've ever played. It doesn't quite, you don't have much access beyond the 12th fret. That's the only thing that, newer acoustics allow you to do with greater ease. And the action changes a bit up there. The neck, is a little bit hard to fret things up there. But aside from that, everything below the 12th fret is like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. Favorite musical? That's hard. But I thought that was really funny that I was in the top 0.05% of listeners of the song Nowadays Hot Honey Rag, which is making me laugh because I wouldn't have expected that. Now we'll just sit in silence, waiting to see if there are any more questions. Thank you, Benny Dreadful, thank you. Would I consider writing songs for shows and series? Absolutely. I did write, there was this cool songwriting competition, like scoring competition I was a part of for a company called Spitfire Audio, which makes these amazing orchestral samples. And so using their samples and a pedal that I was working on for my electronic effects pedal company called Quarantine Effects USA, I made this fuzz pedal that I used on that. But if you go online and you type in like Reeve on YouTube, you type in my name and then Westworld scoring competition, I think you'll find this thing. It was pretty cool. It was like so it was set to a scene from Westworld that actually had our friend Evan Rachel Wood in it, and that was really fun. I mean, I did score a student film once, or a short film, not a student film, and I'd be interested in it. Yeah, I've written some songs for movies. That I had a song in the Twilight soundtrack, Breaking Dawn Part 2, and I wrote that to picture. It didn't get selected for the actual scene, but they put it at the end credits, which is really cool. But it was originally written in the space. The song that took the space for which I composed my particular song, which is called New For You, the song that was actually used in the film in that place was Feist's Fire in the Water. So it was for that scene if you could probably find a way to line it up and go, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But I technically wrote that to picture, and then they put it in the end credits, which is so cool. Yeah, I started off actually as a sketch artist. Didn't use paints as much, but I wanted to be a visual artist originally. That's when I was like 5 years old. I told my parents that's what I want to do. So I just pretty much spent all day drawing when I wasn't doing schoolwork. Would I consider doing a master class? I've done a bunch of those actually. Haven't done that many in New York. I will say I prefer doing them in person. The Zoom ones are okay; they're fine. but I prefer them in person. And yeah, I've done a bunch of those actually. I did a bunch in Indianapolis recently, in Detroit. Oh, oh, you're playing Orpheus. What is this? I heard about this teen version. Is it the same range as the ones that we did, or have they changed it? Either way, I guess it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, like, you gotta find what works for you. For me, it's hard. It would be difficult to think of doing something like that while actually in high school, because the thing is this, like, if I had to do, for instance, early morning press stuff all day while doing 8 shows a week on Broadway, I don't know if I don't, that would really pose some big challenges to doing my job the way I want to do it 8 times a week. So the great thing about having a job on Broadway when you are doing a show like that, especially once you're past all of the big press that time period of the show, like Tony season and all that stuff, you're able to, make your whole life really can be centered around the show and those 8 shows a week, which is the way I do it. That's like, it's important to do it that way, in my opinion. If for me, the way I like to work, and for that reason, I can decide, okay, well, what's the best time for me to go to bed? What's the best time for me to wake up? And it might be out of sync with the rest of the world, and usually is, in my experience, because in a Broadway show, the majority of your performances aren't over until 10 or 11 p.m. each night. And so, and usually I'm very hungry after the show. I think some people aren't, but so I usually eat dinner around midnight when I'm doing a show. And at that point, you don't want to go to bed right away. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you're in high school, you don't really have that option, because you have to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to school. And so that's got to be very hard, waking up at 6 a.m. and then like going to school all day and then doing the show at night. That would be tough. But I think so sleep like is a really crucial component, along with obviously like warming up, starting lightly, and then adding power and body and weight to it as you go, and then having a diet that works for you. Whether that is, I find for me, like a balanced diet, but like definitely don't limit protein. You want to make sure you have enough of that for repairing your muscles, because the vocal cords really are muscles. Favorite role I've ever played? I don't know. I've all enjoyed them all for different reasons, but I had the opportunity to play the devil in Randy Newman's Faust recently in L.A. at the Soraya in Northridge. That was really, really freeing and fun, especially coming from my last stage performance being in Hadestown. Obviously doing a completely different character for me is kind of what I like to do. I don't like kind of doing the same thing over and over again if I can avoid it. Petunia's great. Great. Yeah, that Taylor Swift video was really fun. She was great, and the Anthony Mandler, the director, was amazing to work with, and it was so fast. I really enjoyed that though, because it was all kind of like just situational stuff written in the script. There wasn't really totally a script, so it was all kind of improv stuff, which is always really fun, or it can be really fun. The fight scene was crazy because those guys, I accidentally hit one of them in the face because I'm not a professional stuntman, but I'm also very cautious about wanting to make sure I don't even know how that happened, but I don't know if this is because of that, probably not, but because they actually hit me too. So it's like there's one scene in that where they punched me in the stomach, and I really got punched in the stomach. That was not as hard as he could have hit me, but it's hard to not make some impact. And then I remember falling on the floor. You want to make it look real, but then there was a bunch of broken glass on the floor for some reason. I cut my hand on that. I was like, oh my gosh. But that was more annoying than obviously getting punched in the stomach. That was actually okay. But I accidentally elbowed this one guy in the face in that scene where like they had me up against the wall, and I think I take the pool ball off the table and then elbow him, and I accidentally hit him. Yeah, I felt bad. He's tough though. Do I know if the Jeff Buckley film will ever be made? I'm not. I hope so, but I don't know. You know, I haven't heard anything from them in a while, and I haven't heard anything in the news about it either. So it would be great to make that. I think. I mean, yeah. The only question is it something that Jeff would want to have made? And I hope the answer is yes to that, and that's important to me to whether he'd want that made. But you know, it would be great. Oh yes, I second that. Go Bryant. 2003. Thank you. The sun sets so early these days. It's kind of crazy. So as you can tell, it's getting darker. I'll probably only stand a little longer while this natural light's still here happening. Thank you guys. Thanks, Class Act, New York. Dream job as a kid. I'm honestly doing that. You know, sitting here writing music and practicing guitar and piano. That's kind of certainly one of my dream jobs. Funniest thing happened on stage when I said, in Spider-Man, I wear a bunch of harnesses. And one time, I guess the harness wasn't so much... Well, the reason I mentioned that is that remembering you gotta put your harness on and then you also have to zip up your pants. And I think one time I forgot to do that, and it looked pretty silly, especially with the harness restraints like popping out. It must have looked crazy. Thank you guys. Well, I think I'll stay on another minute or so, but it's getting so dark that it's gonna be hard to see. I will tell her. Oh, birthday on the 15th, nice. Oh, I see a Quixote fan on here, nice. Yeah, Riff Raff, that was a really fun one. Rocky Horror Picture Show was awesome. How many instruments do I play? I mean, I'm always trying to add some more things in if I can, but I mean, I play, Guitar, I have the most training on. Piano, write a lot of music on. I play that in my shows a lot. I play bass and drums to a certain degree. Everything on my album, Youth is Wasted, except for a couple little loops I put in there, is all played by me. Yeah. But I think it's getting so dark that it's so hard to see. So I'm gonna sign up for now. But I'll come back and do one of these soon. Maybe one with the harp guitar too. You guys, thanks so much. And again, if you're in New York and you want to come see me play live, I'm playing December 15th, Sunday night, 7 p.m. at the Green Room 42. And I've got my new song America's out, and you can stream it, and you can buy it on iTunes or wherever you want. Yeah. Okay, cool. I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much.